myself and say we're going to wait for one more person. We got that one more person. Okay, here we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for logging into this presentation. This is the first of the series. My name is Ken White, and I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. And we are partnering with the Office of Procurement for Montgomery County and the Bi-County Roundtable for this series. I'm looking up in the air because I have the dates up on my wall. So this series is today, the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. So please log in for all three. Before we get going into the presentation, I'd like to give Tony an opportunity to say a few words in representing the Black Business Council.
Great, thanks, Ken. The Black Business Council is an organization in Montgomery County, and we've put together an initiative called the Black Business Database, which is basically a list of Black-owned businesses that are owned and operated in Montgomery County that's free to businesses that are Black-owned and in the county. And I just wanted to let you all know that that's a resource that you can use to get to promote your business. The idea is also, as we get more businesses, it'll be a way for businesses in the county to collaborate with one another. And we have information sessions where I explain more about the Black Business Database and walk through the registration process. And just wanted to let you all know that that's a resource that you can leverage to both get your business listed, but more importantly, let other businesses in the county know that you're there, that you want to get engaged, and that you can connect to talk about opportunities and ways to grow together. So I put my email address in the chat. I'll also list the URL for the database, as well as the URL there's an information session. We do 2 information sessions every month that are listed in a newsletter that we send out. But I'll put a link to the next upcoming information session, so anybody that's interested can register and hear more about it. So with that, thanks a lot, Ken, for the opportunity to talk about it.
All right, thank you, and thank you for putting that together. So people may not know that prior to Tony's efforts in putting this together, we had no directory. So folks said, who are or where are the Black businesses in Montgomery County? No one had that information. And so Tony stepped up to that and agreed to put that together for us. So thank you, Tony. Brandy, did you want to say anything?
I'm just excited to see everyone here this morning. There is such a wealth of information, and being a new board member with the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, I've just been lucky to just connect with people. So after today, please network, share everyone's information, engage, and there's much more to come. So stay plugged in, stay tuned. And if you haven't become a member yet, I encourage you to go to our website and click join now.
All right, thank you. I see Ash is on board. Ash, we'd like to welcome you to say a few words. Ash Eddy, the Director of Office of Procurement for Montgomery County. So, are you there, Ash?
Yes, hi, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was having to switch devices and make sure that the device I switched to got enough bandwidth so that I wouldn't stall or lose you as I was speaking. But it's very nice to be here. Apologies for the slight delay signing on. Yes, so I am excited to kick off this series of 3 meetings to do business not only with Montgomery County government, the Office of Procurement, which is the office that I manage, but also with other offices that acquire goods and services within Montgomery County. So in this series, in the 3rd installment, you're going to get to speak with several different entities in the county. And I think it's excellent to share with people what opportunities are available within our ecosystem. So thank you again for having me. I'll thank Grace, who's here with me, who will be doing very honestly the lion's share of work in terms of sharing our resources, tools, and opportunities with you. But I figured the least I could do was set the stage for her, and then for Melissa as well, who will be speaking next week with you about the actual procurement process that is observed within the Office of Procurement. But I think this stage setting and this context is important because it gives you a sense of why this should be interesting to you, and how we have been able to make progress over the past so many years towards some of our key goals that should be of interest to you. So the presentation deck that I have, again, is relatively brief. I don't expect to take more than 5 or 10 minutes with this. But Grace, if you could take us to the next slide, happy to share with you just an overview of what the office is and what we do. So the Office of Procurement in Montgomery County manages $1 billion of spend. Of that spend, we have, out of that spend or representing that spend, we have about, it's now closer to 2,900, I think, active contracts. And it represents $5 billion in overall spend under management. So when you think about it, every year we spend $1 billion, but then there are contracts that are, 2 + 3 or 3 + 1 in terms of how long they're active for, and all that falls within the purview of the Office of Procurement. And that also represents close to 10,000 procurement actions. So those are the work orders that we put on those contracts, any changes or amendments to those contracts, but that's just the volume of work. And by the way, this work is conducted by about 40 procurement staff that work in the Office of Procurement, a few of whom you will get to meet over the course of this series. And also by the different departments. We serve about 40 different departments in the county, and each of them also have contract administrators who are responsible for the execution of some of the procurement steps that my office manages. So it's a very networked enterprise that puts all this together. And what you see on the right-hand side are not only our core values, but also our mission statement. I'll not read the mission statement out to you, but I will elaborate on the core values of this office. So the first core value you see up there is efficiency. We are always challenged to work in an environment where we have to do more with less. Even as we track some of our progress towards our minority goals, you'll see how we've successfully, continuously improved our ability to spend money and do outreach to minority communities, but we've had to do it with the resources that have always been available to us. We are managing more spend now than we've before. We have more, even since these slides were created, you'll see we transact more frequently. We have more procurement actions than you see here, but we've always done it in a way that's efficient. We focus on collaboration as a core value because procurement is uniquely situated where not only do we have to work with each of the different using departments in our county, we also have to work very closely with various organizations, like we're doing in today's meeting, and also with our supplier community, helping them understand our processes, helping them navigate through our systems. And as I go through today's presentation, I will talk to you about some of the things we do to make ourselves more accessible. Transparency is a core value. I think as a government entity, or frankly, as any entity that is responsible for the amount of spend that we are, transparency would have to be a core value. But what you will see as I talk through this is sometimes you'll see transparency in the form of you being drowned with data. We could say here, we're being transparent, here's everything you need to see, but in the process, giving you nothing that you actually can use. What we've tried to do is make transparency accessible, to make it intuitive. If you're looking for something, it shouldn't feel like you're looking for a needle in a stack of needles, and you'll see some of the tools and outreach that we do to make that transparency feel real, and all that leads to empathy. We realize that a lot of people, whether it's our using departments who are very heavily vested in the success of their projects, or whether it's our vendors who spend significant time and effort in responding to a solicitation, that you deserve to be treated with a certain amount of empathy, just because we understand what this means to you, and it means just as much to us. And we never want you to feel like you're dealing with the faceless bureaucracy. We want you to feel like you're dealing with people who understand what you're about. So that's my office in a nutshell. That is who we are. It is how we try to do things. In the next few slides, I'll share with you sort of a working definition of what it is that we do, as well as who we are. So this is the Office of Procurement's org structure. It is completely overhauled as of a year ago. I used COVID as an opportunity to right size the team, to create various other resources, including our website, which we'll talk about soon. But as far as the team itself goes, it is comprised of three separate subsections, if you will. The division you see on the far left-hand side is the team that does the actual work of procurement compliance. We call the individuals on that team procurement specialists. It's comprised of 3 managers who manage 3 teams. What you probably won't understand by looking at this chart is the acronyms that are at the bottom of each of those first 3 columns. Those simply represent the governmental departments that each of those teams support. What we've tried to do from an internal and external organization perspective is make sure that when you work with us, you are working with a professional who's dedicated to serving a particular space, whether it is police or alcohol beverage services or human resources or IT. Each of our teams is configured to manage a particular set of constituencies and their procurements. And again, when you speak with, or when you listen to Melissa next week, you'll get a much better understanding of how exactly the operations team runs procurement operations. On the far right-hand side, you have our Division of Business Relations and Compliance, and they will focus on our minority laws, our MFD law, as we call it, Minority Female Disabled Law, our local laws, which are our local small business reserve program, our local preference programs, as well as the laws having to do with prevailing wage and living wage. And so each of the program managers that you see listed on the right-hand side would be responsible for each of those types of initiatives that I just mentioned. And then in the center is our central services team. This is basically all of our admin, our IT, our finance and budget. This is the glue, as I call it, the team that allows us to do everything that we need to do. But if you go to the next page, what all this does is it ensures that the county is able to get goods and services in the right way, and that we are helping the county executive, the employees of the county efficiently and successfully pursue the initiatives that they want to. As you can see, we work with all different offices within the county government, everybody from finance to budget to the office of the county attorney. But we also work with the various businesses and the various chambers and organizations externally. So definitely a fun group to interact with, because on any given day, we're talking about anything from internet balloons and things like, Skylink, and then we're talking about potentially acquiring fleet for our police vehicles, or office supplies for the paperwork that needs to be done for you all to get your contracts. All right, let me take you through some of our headlines. And again, I'll go over these very briefly, but they'll just give you a sense of the opportunities that you have available to you. We have a local small business reserve program, and we also have a local business preference program. What both of these do, and again, I'll give Grace the opportunity to walk through these with you in some detail. She'll even tell you how you can get registered to be recognized as a local business. But we spent $141 million in the last fiscal year with local businesses, which amounted to 26.2% of the eligible spend with this group. So definitely local businesses in Montgomery County have unique opportunities to thrive and prosper within this government ecosystem. On the right-hand side, you see that we have spent $212 million in the last fiscal year with minority, female, and disabled-owned businesses. And what I have to say that is a particular point of pride for me is the 26.02% of our eligible spend that $212 million represents is the second highest that we've spent in 20 years. In fact, the highest that we spent was in the fiscal year before the last, where we spent 26.86%. So we're about 0.8% off of our all-time high there.
So I don't know what the lady was bugging about. Calling me.
It would be helpful if all participants were muted, just because I think there's not only feedback, but it's also distracting to speak. So these two numbers, by the way, represent highs both in terms of the highest percentage or second highest percentage on record with minorities, as well as the highest ever dollar spend with local businesses, the $141 million. If you are a local minority business, there's just a huge amount of opportunity for you in the Montgomery County ecosystem. If you are a minority-owned business, you're looking at nearly $250 million that we've spent with minority, female, and disabled-owned businesses in the past. So all excellent reasons why you should be looking to do business with Montgomery County. One of the myths that I encountered when I first started here was this idea that, you know, you have to be an incumbent to get business with the county, or you need to know somebody to do business with the county. I've tried to dispel that myth in many different ways, but I think the data is one that is unimpeachable. Just so you know, in the last fiscal year, 51% of the businesses that did business with us had never done business with us in any year prior to that. So the majority of the businesses that are currently doing business with us came into our ecosystem in the last year. And I think that is an important point for you to remember, because if you believe that this system, you know, is rigged, or that it is a place where if you've not already got a contract with us, you're never going to get one, then it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're unlikely to ever get a contract if you don't participate. But hopefully, when you look at this information, which says that, you know, 51% of contract awarded in FY22 were first-time vendors, it should hopefully allow you to see that it is folks like you who had never done business with us before that finally got their foot in the door in the last fiscal year. All right. The last couple of things I want to highlight to you before I pop this over to Grace, and again, we'll talk about all the various programs we have, is just some of the outreach that we do. So since May of 2019, when I started or June in 2019, and I started in April, we started this idea of hosting monthly open houses where we would basically allow vendors to come into our offices. We talked to them about the different processes and opportunities that we had. During COVID, obviously, we had to switch that to an online event, which we found to be equally helpful, because now you don't need to shut your shop down to come see us. You can just dial in the middle of the day, or you can listen to the recording at the end of the day. But we have these monthly open houses that are a tremendous way for us to reach out to the business community. We have at least 30 to 40 participants in each of those monthly open houses, something I would encourage you to participate in, especially if the theme of that particular meeting is of interest to you. We host minority business events. We had this awesome event in the historic courtroom, the Thurgood Marshall courtroom that we happen to be co-located with in Rockville. Another outreach opportunity that I would strongly encourage you to participate in. The open houses are now virtual, but the minority outreach event was in person. At some point, we might bring the open houses to a hybrid format, but to be very honest with you, people seem to get more value out of the open houses being virtual rather than in person. Because, like I said, you don't need to come to Rockville and find parking. If you have a smaller shop, you don't have to worry about finding somebody else to watch it while you're attending our open houses. They've seemingly been one of the silver linings of switching things to virtual that we discovered during COVID. We host annual procurement fairs. We hosted 2 during COVID virtually, which had huge turnout. I mean, over 500 people. But we did one in person last year after COVID, and it was a hybrid event with virtual and in person, and we had over 100 people in person. So we are starting to move towards some of our events being back in person again. We've upgraded and redesigned the weekly newsletters. If you're not subscribed to those, I would strongly encourage you to take a look at that. And we've been very active on social media, getting the word out about opportunities that we have in our office. On the next page, you'll see some of the information about our newly redesigned website that I told you about. During COVID, we realized that our office's front door was now our website. We had not as many visitors coming in person, obviously, but web traffic was going up. And so we took that as an opportunity to completely overhaul our county's procurement website. It's got new features in there that you've never seen before, like a very vendor-centric vendor resources section. We've created a video section where we have these short videos that, if you've never registered with us before, there's actually a video that will show you the click-by-click instructions of what you need to fill out in order to be registered as a vendor in our ecosystem. We have a solicitation tracker that has won national awards. It simply allows you to see the status of any solicitation. If it's delayed, it'll let you know. If you don't think it's accurate, it shares with you who the contact information, who the person is that you need to contact, as well as their contact information. So it's just a very easy way to figure out what you need to just using our virtual portal. We also created a vendor innovation portal, another award-winning resource that basically allows you to tell us what your capabilities are so that we can have it sent to the various departments in the county in case they aren't actually currently thinking about what you have to offer. Now they're able to see your capabilities, and they're able to start thinking about whether this is something the county can benefit from. So just, a very interesting smattering of resources and developments, even during the pandemic. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but I also feel like I would be selling short the effort of so many people who worked very hard for these achievements. So I'll quickly just tell you about some of the awards that the Office of Procurement has won. We've won something to the tune of 11 NACO awards. These are, awards for innovation, for process efficiencies, for some of the tools that you see here, like our solicitation tracker, our Kanban boards, our violations notification systems, things of that nature. We've been annual recipients of the National Procurement Institute Award, which is basically is a designation of our overall process hygiene and the effectiveness with which we manage public funds. And again, I just wanted to put this out there because it's something that I am proud of, and it truly showcases the collective efforts of my team. But with that, I'm going to pass it on to Grace. There's obviously some resources and web links that are at the end of this particular deck, but hopefully Grace will share with you some more information, and I'll try to switch with her and get on the chat now so that I can respond to questions that she presents. But thank you again for being here this morning.
Thank you, Ash. Quick question. You referenced your newsletter. Is there a link or something we could get in the chat that could connect us to subscribing for your newsletter?
Yes, we will absolutely provide that.
Okay, thanks. And I'll just add my 2 cents. So I'm pretty impressed with that number of 51% first-time vendors. And I'm going to say, in my experience, Ashley, that's probably largely due to your leadership and the outreach that you and your team have really taken on in the last couple of years.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. And I'll be 100% candid because I'm not one to take credit where it's not due. It is also in large part because of COVID. If you think about it, most of the private sector was in this wait and see pattern where they weren't sure what they were going to do. And when vendors were looking to see who's actually still doing business, who's still got the lights on, and the factories running, it was governments like ours, where we still needed to provide certain services. And folks who previously had written us off for whatever reason were like, let's submit something here because these guys seem to be soliciting. And then they won because they were capable and qualified. But in all honesty, I think COVID actually gave us a boost in that people, who had previously made up their minds, I think wrongly, ended up being forced to come to us. And because this is not a rigged system, because there is no bias here, they ended up winning. And so, yeah, it's kind of strange to think about the fact that the majority of the people who are now doing business with us are actually new to doing business with us. But thank you for noting that.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Grace and Bethany, I'll hand it on over to you guys.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Ken. So now let's get onto some meat on learning how to actually do business with Montgomery County. Part of our dilemma is that we are in this area where we have federal government and the state government that are much bigger. So some people probably missed the chance to actually know that Montgomery County, as a county government, we also purchase a lot of stuff. Ash mentioned earlier, we spend about $1 billion a year. So I'm sure all 40 of you here would want a piece of that. So let's see how we can help you to get into doing business with Montgomery County. Ash already mentioned our core values and the partners that during the procurement process, not only Office of Procurement, of course, we are one of the key part, but there are a lot of other departments involved in this process within our county government. That's why we have to really work with all the stakeholders for each and every solicitation contract to make sure the process goes well, smoothly. So as Ash mentioned, we did reinvent our website a lot. Later in my presentation, I will go onto our website to point out some important resources for you so that you can start from looking at how to get registered with Montgomery County as a vendor, how to get certified, and where are the solicitations posted. And if you submitted your proposal, where is the stage of that proposal or evaluation process so that you know what's going on. And also we partner a lot with other agencies such as Montgomery College, Montgomery County Public Schools, WSSC, that's our water and sewage agency, Park and Planning, Housing Opportunity Commission. Those are Montgomery County agencies that we work with a lot too. For our solicitations, we also developed a website for the projections or forecasting for the next 12 to 18 months. So a lot of vendors will get a heads up in terms of what are incoming for some of the solicitations that you may be interested in. We also developed a VIP portal, which is the vendor innovation portal. That is for you to kind of introduce your business to the county. We know a lot of times vendor has a, you don't really have a very good direct line to sell your business or tell us what you do. And especially if you are in a specified industry, you would like to show your business to a particular department or division. So we developed this portal for you to be able to fill out your mission statement as well as your strengths or any innovation ideas you have for the county. And then it will be forwarded to the using departments so that they know that you are out there when they send out solicitations. It's always good that they know there are a pool of vendors out there for whatever they need to buy. We also developed our workflow maps for some of our large purchasing types, such as RFP and IFB. Melissa next week, our operations division chief, will elaborate on some details in terms of how we characterize our contracts and how to respond to them, how to write good proposals. Those are some good resources Melissa's gonna elaborate. So she will show you also these workflow process maps. Just to give you a very brief idea that for Montgomery County, we have quite a few different thresholds when we purchase things, either for goods or services. If the solicitation is over $100,000, then we call it a formal solicitation. Those solicitations will go through the open competition. It will be posted on our website for at least 3 to 4 weeks for people to respond to. It will have all the attachments in terms of contract compliance programs, all the processes that any solicitation or formal contracts need to go through. And then the next category is between $10,000 to $100,000. Those are our informal solicitations. And we try to streamline those solicitations so that the using department has more control over and less hoops that they have to jump through to get these solicitations posted at a minimum of 5 business days. Usually these purchases are simpler and more straightforward. Like if they just want to buy, let's say 20 iPads, they can just send out a 2-page requirement informal solicitation, give 5 days for people to send their bids in, and then make their award. So the informal solicitations are our smaller purchases and will be a lot quicker to turn out. One of the recent development is that during COVID, Ash and the county executive made the decision to make all of our informal solicitations to be reserved under the local small business reserve program. Our local small business reserve program here shows as LSBRP, means only Montgomery County based small businesses are certified for this program. And then for certain solicitations, we reserve them only for these local small businesses to compete among each other, so that you are not competing with your Oracle or IBM type of large competitors. Then the last category is the direct purchases. Those are purchases that are under $10,000. And those are not required to have a solicitation being openly competed on our website. The using departments, usually they can just go and buy the goods or services they need. You know, for example, if they need some computer bags for 20 of them, they can just go to Office Depot or anywhere that, or Amazon even, using their credit card. So this part is actually, sometimes a small business can start from the direct purchasing, but before you approach the department, people who have the, who are the decision makers to buy these things, you do have to understand how, which department, for example, which department or division would buy your goods and services. So you do have to do a little bit of homework, a lot of times through the county website, and look at other solicitations or contracts that this department buys. Then a lot of times you will get a lot of very good idea in terms of who is your goal customers for your goods and services. And I will show you a little bit on our website how to reach that point. So a little bit details on these contract compliance programs we have. Most of our contracts, when we send a solicitation out, they have attachments and requirements from either by the county law or the procurement regulations that some of these programs will be attached to the solicitation requirements. So the first one would be the Minority Female Disabled Business Program. I saw one question in the chat box was asking that basically what do these certifications do for me? If I go out and get the certification, what are the benefits? So for the county government and for most of other county, PG County, Howard County, Baltimore County, you name it, and even including the state of Maryland, the governments, when they do business, a very big part is that they also have quite a few socioeconomic programs that are attached to these contracts. Once you get a certification from one of the agencies that we accept the MFD certificate, most of the government purchasing department will require the prime contractor to have certain percentage of their contract to be subcontracted out to minority or female or disabled persons owned business, certified businesses. So for example, let me go onto this site. Let me ask you, did I jump out from that presentation? Do you see my website?
No, Grace, we still just see the PowerPoint.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, we see the website.
Okay. So this is our website for the Minority Female Disabled Owned Business Program. As you can see, currently we have 4 different goals for different purchasing groups. So for construction, for example, the purchasing goal, subcontracting goal is 21%. That means if we are building the Rockville Library, then the contractor, the general contractor, construction contractor, will be required to have at least 21% of their contract value subcontracted out to minority-owned businesses. So that includes minority and female and disabled owned businesses. For the aggregate, they can have 1 or up to, however many subcontractors they will use, as long as the aggregate of the minority certified minority female disabled owned businesses subcontractors reach or exceed 21%, then they are in compliance with our MFD requirement. And currently we accept 6 different agencies for their certifications as long as you have 1 of them. I would say if you have not started your certification process, I would recommend that you go with the Maryland Department of Transportation and DOTS certificate. That probably will give you the biggest effect that you can, once you have this certificate, you can pretty much use that as a credit for all the county government and the state government, and maybe even some of the huge private companies. We also accept WeBank, that's for women business, women-owned business specifically. And then for the VA, the Veteran Affairs Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Certificate, that's for to be counted as a disabled-owned businesses. So these other federal SBA certifies for 8A program. So any of these 1 of these 6 certificates, any one of them would give you the credit as a minority-owned business. And also we have some resources down here. Here's the website links that you can go and pursue one of those certificates. For the government-run ones, they are all free. The Capital Region Minority Supplier Development Council and the WeBank, those 2 are nonprofit organizations, and they do charge a membership fee when you apply for it. The other 4 are free, but it may take you up to 6 months to get the actual certificate. So that's our MFD program. Let's move on to the go back to the slides. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about our local business programs. Right now, we have 3 different local business programs. The first one I mentioned briefly was the Local Small Business Reserve Program. That again is only for Montgomery County-based small businesses. Once you are certified under that program, you will see some of the solicitations will be reserved under this program, where only certified LSBRP vendors can compete on it. And then for the Local Business Preference Program, this is a program that's implemented during COVID, actually. I think it was August of 2020. This one applies to most of the solicitations that are not reserved under the LSBRP. And since we are going to have proposals from local businesses as well as non-local businesses, then this program allows us to give the local businesses certain preference. So if it's a RFP represents request for proposals. So usually in the RFPs, you will see some evaluation points. Let's say if we're asking for a certain services, custodial services, for example. And then for a RFP, we may ask for your company's past experience, 20%, 20 points, your pricing for hourly charge, 20 points, and your location, you should be not too far from the Rockville area, for example, 10 points or whatever. And then this local preference program will have also 10 points in that evaluation criteria. So if you are a certified local business, note that you don't have to be a local small business here. As long as you are based in Montgomery County, then you will get that 10% preference points added up to the, it will be calculated and added up to your evaluation total. So if you are Montgomery County based, you may get a little bit of advantage there competing against a non-local business. If it's a IFB, which stand for invitation for bids, those are pricing based solicitations. If we're just buying, let's say 100 laptops, then all we're asking for is to give us a pricing bid. For the bids, this local business preference program also allows us to give a preference of up to 20% of the pricing. Hold on, let me check one thing. To give a preference of the pricing to the local businesses, so that we can, sorry, it's a 10% pricing preference, so that we can give some consideration for the local business when they bid against non-local businesses. Of course, we also have a $20,000 ceiling on that 10% pricing preference, so that we're not paying millions and millions of dollars more for some large contracts. So these are some of our main local and minority preference programs. The other local business subcontracting program runs very similar to the minority-owned business program, which is also a subcontracting program. So if a solicitation that is not reserved under the LSBRP, and when it's over $10 million, when it's a large contract, then we do require the prime contractor to subcontract out at least 10% of their contract to local businesses. Again, this is local businesses, not just local small businesses. So somebody may ask that, okay, now you're saying, let's say if it's a construction contract, you already asked for 21% out subcontracting to minority-owned businesses. Now you're asking 10% out to subcontracting to local businesses. Then the big pie is being cut down to smaller pieces. So we would say that these two programs can overlap with each other. So if a company is a minority-owned Montgomery County-based business, then you can use that subcontractor to fulfill both of these programs. And then the other wage programs, we have two wage programs that our office manages. These are, we require our services contractor employers to pay certain wage to their employees who are working on the county contracts. So for example, the living wage or wage requirements law, these are your, for example, landscaping companies or custodial services companies, security guard services companies, staffing services companies. We do ask the companies the contractors to pay. Currently, the rate is $16 per hour, $16 per hour. And then starting July 1st of 2023, it will be raised to $17.05 per hour for those employees who are working on the county contract. And then the prevailing wage law applies to construction services contracts only. And then we are talking about a huge list of labor categories, including carpentry, electrician, crane operators, fencing, painting, whichever construction site worker would do. The state every year sends out a wage rate list that we will follow the state's wage rate on the prevailing wage. And we do have our monitoring enforcement in place for both of these wage programs. The contractors are required to send in their wage reports to us, and we do auditing, sometimes random auditing, and look at your books to make sure that the contractors are paying proper wages to all the employees that are working on the Montgomery County contracts. Ash already mentioned some of these numbers, so I won't repeat. Just one thing that during COVID, we did implement a online system to receive bids. It's called BidNet. So we used to only take paper submissions, but then in the recent years, we have been moved it onto the online system. So some of you may have experienced that you will have to submit your proposals or bids online through this BidNet system. So I don't know if you know or have visited us back before COVID. We were at the 255 Rockville Pike, but during COVID we did move to the 27 Courthouse Square, which is only about a block away from our old location. It's still in the Rockville Town Center. It's the gray courthouse in Rockville Town Center, you're welcome to visit us. Do make appointment. We are on the 3rd floor, and like Ash mentioned, that there is a historical courtroom on that floor that we could use it sometimes for events. It's a very beautiful place. And these are some resources I will show you on our website. I guess the first thing as a vendor, if you have not started working with Montgomery County, the first thing you should do is to register with us as a vendor. So this vendor registration system, which is here, mcipcc.net, is probably where you should start with. Register with us as a vendor. If you are a Montgomery County-based vendor, make sure you do during the registration to submit your application to get certified as a local or small business. If you are a minority-owned business and has one of the certificates that I mentioned, during your registration, put that in so that we know that you are a certified MFD vendor. So let me go onto this site quickly so that you will have a visual what it looks like. So this is our vendor registration system. On the left-hand side, this is the vendor portal. So if you have not registered yet, go to register as a company here. So that you will be going through a whole, step by step to get yourself registered. And as I mentioned, tell us your certification or submit your certification for the local business programs. Sometimes we do come here to do a vendor search. If you are a prime contractor, a lot of times we would send you over here to find some qualified either minority-owned subcontractors or local subcontractors. So here you can search by the company name or search by commodity code, which is what you sell basically. And then I just want to give you an idea that for the commodity code, when you're registering, you are allowed to have up to 100 commodity codes. So put as much as you do sell in there. Don't sell yourself short. And if you don't know the code, actually, we do have a lookup list here where you can put in your keywords. Let's say novelty. So for novelty items, maybe I should use a different word. Novelties, maybe. Yeah, novelties and advertising specialty products. If that's what you sell, select the commodity code. And then when you say go, you'll be able to find, in this case, more than 100 vendors who are registered under this commodity code. So a lot of times we will come here and we will send a prime contractor here to look for eligible vendors. I'm trying to find a certified minority or local business so that you'll see during your registration, it's important why it is important for you to put this information in. So for example, these two vendors are certified as a local business or local small business. And this vendor is also certified by MDOT as a minority-owned business. So that does help us a lot to know what kind of business you are and what certification you have. And going back to the questions, I noticed one, actually we did get asked this a lot, that if I'm not a Montgomery County based business, or if I don't have a certificate for minority owned, do you still do business with us? The answer is definitely yes. We do business with everybody and anybody. Just when you get these certificates, then you will get some preference points for some of our solicitations. So it will definitely give you some benefits and advantage when you get these certificates. So going back to our main website, so there are definitely some good resources I want to point you to. Number one is, this is our procurement website, which is Montgomery County md.gov/PRO. Then you will be landing on this page. The first good resource is your vendor resources page. We put all our resources together onto this one page so that you have one-stop shop to understand what our some good resources are. So as a new vendor, where to get registered, where to get certified, what are some programs. There's the vendor innovation portal I mentioned earlier for you to introduce yourself to us. There's some general guidelines. For example, the projection that I mentioned earlier, basically is our forecasting tool. So right now, everything is starting, I guess this was loaded a while back. So we had winter of 2022 through winter of 2023. So some of the solicitations from which department and what kind of certification or contracts that are going to come out. For example, there's wellness and recovery solicitation. There's the African American Health Program services solicitation. There's the furnishing turfgrass sod. So all kinds of solicitations from all different departments. There are a whole bunch from DOT, as you can see, and a lot from HHS, and then some from DGS. So this is one of the resources you can see and kind of prepare yourself ahead of time for anything that's upcoming. And then going back to here, there's something else I wanted to show you. One thing I want to mention is we do have a debriefing process where if you did participate a solicitation, you submitted your proposal, you didn't get picked, you didn't win the award, you still can request a debriefing from the people who evaluated your proposal, just to learn what are the shortcomings, why didn't I get picked. So it will give you a pretty good idea on what you can improve on for the next time. And then this page is very important, which is our solicitation page. So as I mentioned earlier, we have formal solicitation, informal solicitation, and open solicitations are the solicitations that's always there. There's no closing day that you whenever you see it, you can apply for it. I see a lot of them for like physician or nursing services for our shelter victims or inmates, for example. Those requirements are always there, and those are usually the open solicitations. So let me go into the formal solicitation just so you can have an idea what they look like. As you can see, right now we're hosting all of them on our BitNet, and also some of these, as I mentioned, are reserved under the local small business. You can see that, for example, catering services, this one is reserved under the LSBRP. The uniform appeal in printing and embroidery services is under the LSBRP. Life skills and personal development training program are under LSBRP. So these are our current active solicitations that you should definitely look at on a regular basis. And also we developed this view scope button where if you have seen our solicitations, they are not short documents. A lot of them can be quite lengthy. So we want to give you a brief summary on the scope. For example, let me find an interesting one. Let's say just this catering services. You want to see what it really requires. You can click on this, and then it'll give you a few paragraph summary on what this solicitation is really about. And then if you're really interested in, then you can select to either see the full scope or actually download the whole solicitation and start responding to it. So hopefully this will save you some time to having to download the whole thing and look through all the pages. And then also we have developed this solicitation tracker tool. A lot of times people submitted their proposal and people would call us as a black box where you don't know what's happening and you don't hear from us for months, and then you don't know what's going on. So we're trying to make it more transparent for you. So if you did sending a solicitation or proposal, you want to find out what's going on, you can you can also search by keywords. Then let's say if this is the custodial services contract I responded with, then you will see, okay, it was, this was an old one. I don't know why it's still, I don't think it's still stuck in this process. I believe what happened to this one was it was canceled at this point. So it was reissued. So it's, you will at least, let's pretend this is a current one, then you will see, oh, it's now being evaluated and the proposed awardee will be proposed soon. So at least you'll get an idea, oh, at which stage, if the color is red, then it means it was delayed. Then you will understand that what's happening to the proposal that you just submitted.
Although if I just jump in here really quickly, this is frankly an odd example of where this tool isn't working properly. But as much as I'm embarrassed of that, on the right-hand side, you see the email information for this specialist that you can contact. So this would be the perfect situation to be like, hey, Penny, by the way, this is the email I'm about to send in 2 minutes. Hey, Penny, what's wrong with this? Why is it showing up this way? And you could get the answer from the specialist directly.
Yeah. And then let me go back here. So another good tool, sometimes I do point people to or direct you to see is our contract search engine. So we do have all our active and actually awarded contracts as open data in Montgomery County, Montgomery County. So for our contracts, if you are interested in, let's say, IT services contract, and you want to see who are the current contractors, or you want to see if that contract is going to expire soon, and should you be preparing to respond to it next time, then you can come to this site and go to the filter and put your search keywords in. So let's say IT related, you want to say contract description contains, to make it as broad as you can, IT services. I'm not sure if this is if there's a solicitation with this specific wording, but as you can see, I pulled out 4 contracts, and the contract description it's audit services, but it has the word IT in there. So maybe instead of this, I'll say technology, technical. Technical and consulting. Need to go back here. So here you see Montgomery County Consulting and Technical Services. Those are sometimes people are calling them MCATs or LCATs that are reserved only for local small business IT services. You will be able to pull out, looks like we have 6 of these, and then I believe 12 of these contracts. Then you can figure out who are the current contractors and their contact information. This is a way for you to become a subcontractor to them. That's one way to get some opportunity there. And another way is to see, these are the contract dates where you can see when was it awarded and when is it going to be extended to. So for example, these contracts were awarded in 2015, and the expiration will be June of this year. So, which means the MCATS contracts will be re-awarded. In fact, I just know because the solicitation was issued and the departments received a lot of proposals and they are evaluating them. Very soon, the new awardee will be posted for the MCATS system. So this is definitely another good resource for you to figure out, actually, first of all, does the county buy what you sell? And do we have an existing contract for that goods or services that you sell? So these are some good resources for you to explore. And then if you realize, for example, if you provide catering services, or you have a restaurant, you want to do catering, then you can figure out which department actually do that catering services contract. And then the person, the contract administrator and the buyer in our office would be the people you actually would want to meet with to introduce yourself and your business. So those are some of the resources. I do want to give a little bit of time for questions. So let me stop. Let me go back to the slides, which I did send a copy to Ken, where we'll make it available for you. You will have all these links and also, sorry. And also the contact information for our folks. Did I lose you? Are you guys seeing my slides?
I'm not seeing the slides.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, slides are up.
Okay. So here is our contact information for Michael Brown is our local small business program manager. Alvin Boss is our MFD program specialist. And this is my contact information. You are welcome to reach out to us. So let me stop there and see if we have any question there. Okay, let me go back to the chat. So for the searching for the contract data set, we can add some instructions. Maybe on the contract search landing page, we can definitely add some instructions for you to be able to use. It is under the data Montgomery County data set.
And we'll also try to put a video up on that, which
Oh, yeah.
should.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. So there's another good resource on our website, which you can see under the vendor resources. We did a lot of how-to videos, and they were up to 3 minutes long instruction videos to kind of walk you through how to do some of these things. Yeah, okay. So in terms of reaching out to us, we do meet with vendors and help you figure out what you sell. Do we have contract for that, and how do you approach to do business with us? But do make appointment with either Michael Brown or Alvin Boss or myself to meet with us. Also, Ash mentioned that we have a monthly open house, and that is also on our website under the calendar. It's every Wednesday, every third Wednesday, 10 to 11. Right now it's still virtual. And next one is actually next Wednesday on the 15th. It's a general open house. We just, do a lot of Q&A there. You are all welcome to join us. Are there other questions that I haven't covered? So someone asked about the cost of a certification. So for the local and small business within Montgomery County, those certifications are all free. You just need to submit your application during the registration. For the MFD certification, as I mentioned, the 4 government-run ones are all free. There are 2 nonprofit organization-run certifications do cost money. I don't know the exact cost, but it's similar to a membership fee, annual fee.
But also sometimes they end up being more expeditious because there's a shorter queue for those ones.
Yeah.
I also want to quickly thank Bethany. I acknowledge Grace being on this one, but Bethany, I see you all over the chat. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
She's
thank
Bethany,
you for
our outreach
answering.
coordinator for our team.
Yeah, for answering those questions. So Tiffany is asking, the home state of my business is DC. However, I live in Maryland. Am I still eligible? I don't know, eligible to which program, or you are definitely eligible to participate in our procurement. For any solicitation, you can submit your proposal, and also for certifications. Okay, so for Montgomery County based local businesses, we are looking at where is the location of your business office. We do not look at where you are residing. So if your business is in DC, you would not be eligible as a local business. However, if you are a minority or female-owned business, then you are eligible to get a certification for MFD business. Are there other questions I didn't cover? You can just ask also.
Grace, real quick, can you give a quick overview of our next session?
Oh, yeah. So next week, the other division chief, which is procurement operations division chief, Melissa Gardner, will be talking more about our procurement process, the workflow, maybe she will go into what are some purchasing categories and what are some purchasing types we do. what are some most complicated or important contracts we have, as well as she will give you some instructions in terms of how to write a good proposal when we evaluate a vendor, what type of requirements or qualities that we're looking for, that type of information. And I'm sure that you will actually get a lot of insight from her presentation too.
So one thing I'll say about Melissa is before she came to become a division chief for operations in the Office of Procurement, she was on the contract side for the Department of Transportation in the county, which means she is one of those people who has managed vendors, evaluated vendor submissions as her previous job, and is now in charge of the compliance from the operations side. She would be an excellent resource for you to get information from just because of her wealth of experience.
So with that, if there's no other questions, I want to really thank Grace and Bethany and Ash for putting this series together for us. Very valuable information. And we look forward to part 2 and part 3.
Thank you again for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tia, I see your question there. If you are located in Montgomery County, I would recommend you to get the local business certification also. If you are not, then you've already got the best MB certificate there is, which is MDOT. So you should be good.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How are you? How's everyone? Thank you so much. This is so informative. I'm not licensed in Montgomery County. So I'm just, in the state of Maryland and city, Baltimore City, as a WBE as well. So what would I need to do if I wanted to do business in Montgomery County? Do I need any further certifications or what?
What do you do? What do you sell?
I'm actually a floral artist, but I'm licensed under landscaping, wholesale, nursery, and flowers.
Okay, so if those areas in your industry, there is licensing requirements, then I would say the first thing you do is to get licensed for Montgomery County. That's probably from the permitting services department. And then after that, definitely register with us as a vendor. And you already got the MDOT, then you should be good to go.
Okay, will do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.